Chapter 10, Hunan Mummy. Baba was sent back, and another year passed before he was granted a second temporary release from the labor camp. During this visit, in the province of Hunan, where our ancestors once lived, a sensational archaeological discovery was made. In the spring of 1972, the construction of the site of a hospital in Changsha, the capital of the Hunan province, the workers accidentally struck a large hidden tomb. As archaeologists rushed to the site, they unearthed a 4-layered sarcophagus. The wooden coffins were covered with masterful oil paintings, their colors intact. The second layer was the most breathtaking, depicting a celestial scene with more than 100 legendary fairies and animals floating amid the white clouds. Surrounded by over 1,000 treasures, jubo, bamboo strips and silk with rare ancient classics written on them, and 25-string se, ancient Chinese harp, lacquered screens, and rare herbs, with the body of a 50-year-old female from 200 BC, a 2,000-year-old mummy. Newspapers reported that she was clothed in the finest silk, as thin as a cicada's wings, and as light as vapor. Later, 2 other tombs were discovered next to hers, smaller but nonetheless impressive. Who was this woman? People asked. Speculations and rumors circulated widely among our news-deprived population. A national treasure of our own motherland was the official statement. This mummy is proof that the technology of ancient China had no equal in the world. We are proud of our cultural heritage. Of course, the official paper continued, the discovery also demonstrated how the ruling class had robbed common people in order to enrich themselves even after death. Soon after this discovery, Baba invited his friend Uncle Li home for lunch. Uncle Li was one of the best photographers in China. He had been summoned to take official pictures of the Hunan mummy, as the female body came to be called. Recently, he had returned to Beijing full of stories, unofficial ones. I was all ears. "They've opened up the mummy," Uncle Li began eagerly as soon as I carried a large bowl of spicy noodles to the table. "And they have taken out her heart, her brain, and lungs, all fresh as if she died yesterday, and put them in several jars of white liquid to preserve them for eternity." I put down my chopsticks, losing my appetite completely, as I visualized the organs resting in big jars. But Uncle Li was full of excitement. "Can you guess what they found in her stomach?" he asked. I shook my head. "Sweet melon seeds!" I was puzzled, but Baba explained. In those days, sweet melons were brought to Beijing from the south, thousands of miles away, as tributes to the emperor. "That's right," Uncle Li continued. "But for the Hunan mummy, to have eaten those melons means only one thing. She was of imperial status." I was intrigued. I had been following the story pretty carefully. The woman, Zhen Jui, as reported in the newspapers, was the wife of Marquis Li Kang of Changsha, a prefecture of the newly unified kingdom of Han. She certainly had status, but not that kind of status. "Well," Uncle Li said, his eyes twinkling as if he had read my mind, "many believe that she was a favorite consort of one of the Han emperors, and had given birth to a son who became the heir to the throne. The empress generously adopted the baby, but secretly ordered Zhen Jui killed. The officer entrusted with carrying out the order took pity on Zhen Jui, and instead of killing her, he set her free, saying, 'May heaven protect you.'" So far, this sounded like the Snow White story I'd read, albeit a Chinese version. "The unfortunate woman drifted on the Zhang River for days," Uncle Li continued, "death chasing her like a shadow. She hid behind tall reeds, away from suspicious eyes during the day, and only traveled at night. Her will to live must have burned strong in her like an undying fire, sustaining her through thirst, hunger, and many starless nights. As destiny would have it, she was finally rescued by a local farmer, who brought her home, nursed her back to health, and generously shared with her all that he had. In gratitude, Zhen Shui married the farmer. The couple lived on the fruits of their labor and raised their own family." Uncle Li took a sip of the jasmine tea. "Years passed," he went on. "Finally, her imperial son ascended to the throne. The now elderly assassin on his deathbed confessed the truth to the young emperor, who in turn immediately dispatched his imperial guards in search of his birth mother. It did not take long for them to locate her, and a tearful reunion ensued. The emperor, however, could not bring Zhen Jui back to the throne as Empress Dowager. Instead, he bestowed on the farmer husband the title of Marquis, as well as a sizable land grant. He also lavished on his mother all the treasures of his court, including silk and sweet melons from down south. Upon her death, the emperor gave her an extravagant imperial burial, complete with all the finest things from his Han kingdom. They have discovered 2 small tombs close by, Uncle Li added, and believe that they belong to her husband and their son. This seems to confirm the story, since both tombs were much smaller than Zhen Jui's. In federal China, a wife could never have a bigger tomb than her husband, unless, of course, she had imperial connections. Uncle Li leaned back, remarkable story finished, as I dished some more spicy noodles onto his rice bowl. Then Baba surprised me with this revelation. Our genealogy record from the Hunan makes it seem likely that Zhen Jui was our ancestor. What? I was stunned. You mustn't tell anyone, Baba warned me. We've had enough trouble with our family's political history without adding an ancestor who robbed the poor to enrich herself, as the government claims. I thought about Zhen Jui's farmer husband. He was once poor, right? Maybe we could focus on his proletarian past instead. Not long after Uncle Li's visit, Baba was ordered back to his labor camp. I couldn't stop thinking about him or our newly found ancestor. If this story was true, I was grateful that Zhen Jui had fought hard to survive. Otherwise, none of us would have been here either. But now, Baba was battling for his life, too.